What's up, folks? It's your girl Lisa with the C. You already know what time it is. It's Friday. We're dropping another episode. And today we have an amazing man. Honestly, he's like one of the hottest matchmakers out here for Combat Night. Please welcome Richard Cox to the Lisa with the Z podcast.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Of course, I had to have you on here. So the last fight I went to was in Jacksonville, the pro card. And I got to say, that was an amazing card. Very well matched. Great fights. And so let's talk about Jacksonville. What did you think about that card?
I thought it delivered on the AMI side and the pro side. I mean, we had a lot of talent. People that stick out, though, man. Yeah, I mean, what's the UFC doing? Why do they not have Preston Parsons? Why do they not have Lucas Alexander? Those kids. Truth. I mean, they stuck out as being, fighting at the highest level. Like, hey, they got the juice. A lot of people have the juice. We call it the juice. Okay. A lot of people have the juice, but they don't have that like next level potential world champion superstar. And I feel like you guys definitely have that skills, just all the way around the board.
Yeah, he looked very calm. It's like he was very focused. I could hear. I was in the corner side, of course, of Fusion side, and it like anytime I've watched any of their fighters, it is like a video game. It is legit. They call it out, and it's right there. Boom, boom, boom. They like, they know what they're doing. They're very well trained. That gym is like top athletes. There's a lot of top athletes, even from their amateurs. Their amateurs are pretty scary too, so. I love watching the cards because it gets so exciting and you get to see all the talent and skill, but they put on a good show. Every fight puts on a good show. I have yet to see a fight that it's been like, the crowd's not entertained or it's just very silent. I've been to other fight promotions where it's like, oh, this is the fight. But it happens.
Sometimes you're gonna get a stinker, but I think our ratio for good fights is really high. Even the ones that sometimes seem a little off, because sometimes it's just the way things line up. We try to put on the best quality fights we can. But I have, like you're saying, I've been to some events and just been like, wow, these guys are getting
yawn. Like I'm like sleeping here. I also see that like a lot in the amateurs because they're still trying to find their confidence in the cage. They're still trying to figure out like, their other opponent too, and also their skill level too. So I've seen guys just not throw any punches or like they'll take hits and I'm like, throw your hands, keep your hands up, or something. Give me a roll. But that's the way fight sports is. So tell me how you got started with Combat Night matchmaking.
Man, it's almost been 10 years now. Combat Night, I think we're on year 9, which is crazy. I've always done matchmaking and promoting in Georgia, South Carolina. And Josh was one of my better friends in the business. I had known him since he was 18. He'd fought in Valdosta a couple times where I met him, and we just kind of had always been friendly. And when he started his gym, of course, he would come to me to get his guys opportunities and stuff like that. So, Mitchell's told the story a bunch of times. They went to, I used to do the matchmaking at Rise of a Warrior. But shout out to Rise of a Warrior. Dan Donaldson is a quality human being. You need to talk to him. You would love that.
I think that he's been coming up on my show between now. You and Michael have both mentioned him. I'm going to have to reach out now. So for sure, I'll definitely reach out to him.
He's the best. But anyway, so they came to the show and Dan and the guys at, I don't want to mess their name up, Infuse Fight Gear. They just put on, it's amateur show, but their production and just overall how it looked like a big deal. And it is a big deal. It was, they've produced people in the UFC. Some of the best fighters in Florida have come through Rise of a Warrior. So again, shout out to those guys. But Mitchell and Josh just saw that and were like, man, we could do something like this in Tallahassee. And just kind of went from there. They called me up and Josh asked me if I wanted to do some matchmaking. And at the time I had a lot going on and I was just kind of like, man, I don't really want to fuck with it. And he was just like, well, I'm asking. And the pay wasn't great. But the biggest thing, I went ahead and did the first one, obviously. And it was a chance to put some of my own fighters on the card because Tallahassee under an hour and a half from where we live. So that was kind of a local show for my guys too. So I thought, well, little side money, hang out with my buddy. It's fun. That's what I do. So I did that. But on the first show, I knew right away with Josh and Mitchell, just watching how they interacted with the fighters, because they are fighters. The way they interacted with the fighters and the fans. And I'm a big person on like passion. And you can just see it pouring out of them, like how much passion they had for the sport, for their athletes, for their sponsors, their fans. And I was just like, oh shit, well, having fun's more important than money. So I'm just going to take the ride with them. And man, what are we at now? 140 events? Almost years later. I love those guys. I mean, Josh was my boy. Me and Mitchell have just gotten so tight. He's one of the rare people, like he can be business and personal. He's like the only person I've seen that can really balance that. I know I have a lot of trouble with it personally, but he can balance it, man. We can be talking about the deepest shit in the world. And I'm just like, oh, this is my best bud. And the next minute he's like, hey, what's up with this card? You're fucking up, dude. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So business, I love business. Yeah, you're right. But it's very rare that you find somebody that can actually separate the two. And he's good. And then, man, like the fifth or sixth event, Ramsey came along. And we're just one big happy family. Brandy and Caden. I mean, those people are my family. We're really mom and pop organization. We got a great leader. And we have a great team. And we've just been kicking ass ever since. It's
true. I mean, I remember my first combat night event was at Sway. It was amateur card. And I was very early beginnings in my mixed martial arts, but I thought I was a fighter. You know, I'm like, yo, I'm out here. And you know, I've told this story before with Mitch, but like I kind of just like messaged the Instagram like, hey, do fighters get discount on the tickets? You know, he gave me like $5 off. But I thought it was cool.
That is cool.
And you know, I went to the card and I don't think anyone from John Way had been to a combat night event yet. And so I just saw the flyer and I'm like, let me go. It looks like a good time. And I was really trying to learn and really educate myself on if I wanted to continue doing this or if I was just going to do kickboxing for exercise. And so then I went and I saw how savage it is to be in the combat night cage. And I mean, it is do or die in there. And I was like, oh my God. Yes, I'm coming back to watch more. And then I told my guys and I'm like, hey, this is a really good card to jump on if you guys are like trying to really be fighters. And this is like, my boys were like in after their first amateur debut. And like some of them hadn't even debuted yet, but I saw their passion. I saw their hard work. And I'm like, I think that combat night is probably a good route for you guys if you want to grow. And then I met Mitch and I kept going as a fan for a while and mainly the Broward events for a while because that's where I'm from. And then finally I moved out to Tampa about 2 years ago. And I was like, man, it's going to take me forever to go back to combat night events. And I'm like, but you know what? Orlando's not too far. Maybe I can start going to the Orlando events. And then I haven't, you know, I've created the podcast and I'm able to talk to all the fighters. I love talking to the amateurs. I'm trying to get some pros on here. So hook it up, Richard. I'm trying to get some pros on this show.
Oh, dude, you send me that wish list and I'll knock some of those out for you. I'll just tell you, or they're in trouble with me.
Okay. Richard said you're coming on my show. So, so I know you have another fight card coming up in Leesburg. Tell us a little bit about that card and how it was that you had the time matchmaking for it.
Oh God. Well, it has been a headache. Just because it's always that way when you go to a new area, a new market.
Right.
And also we're so active, and there's also a lot of other promotions,
Right.
out. So the talent runs them, but we always come through. We get together, and whoever is lacking a weakness, we pick up the slack and help each other, and we put together a solid card. I'm happy with that card. Some fights is out, obviously. Justin and Kai.
Right.
With one L. I hope Kai sees that. He'll know why I did that. I'm always so good about putting proper spelling on the names, and I swear the past 3 events, there's been more miscues on my part on spelling than there's been in like 3 years.
Yeah.
So all hit me at once, and he hit me up and told me that I'd spelled his name wrong, and his parents were upset. So it made me feel like shit. So that's Callaway with one L. I got it from here on out. Anyway, that fight sticks out because Kai is undefeated in kickboxing, undefeated MMA fighter. He's fought everywhere from I believe 65 to 205, and he's fighting Justin at heavyweight for the heavy kickboxing title. Mm-hmm. And Justin Savage, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but chooses to get all this kickboxing, and he looks great every time he comes back. He looks better. He looks in better shape and faster. Yeah. Great guy too. Real good, genuine man. Really good. Michael Clark and Rashard Anderson stick out. Tristan McGraw.
Rashad has been card after card after card.
Yeah, he's going boxing her out lately. But this will be an MMA fight.
Okay. I'm excited for that. I think I interviewed him once at I think it was the Carib show. I know that.
That was a crazy event there for him specifically. So we had gotten I just happened to notice on the guy's blood results that he was fighting that night that it didn't have the proper test on it. So we literally within 15 minutes had to change the fight from MMA to kickboxing because the guy didn't have the required medicals.
Wow,
that was crazy. You didn't think about it, because the doctor had signed off on it, but it was a small thing that it was the wrong test. Mm-hmm. So literally had to run to them and be like, would you kickbox? Yeah. It's snatch off the gloves. It's and what kind of what a G though for both of them just to be in that moment. And that show was huge, as you remember. Yeah. For them to just within 15 minutes, okay, we're just punching and kicking now. Two guys.
Honestly, I see a lot of things just happen from moment to moment. Even at the Jacksonville card at weigh-ins, that you guys had 2 fighters. I didn't know what exactly was going on as far as the 2 fighters pulling out, or I guess what no shows. But then 2 fighters that were there that had their no shows ended up fighting. So tell us a little bit about that.
That was crazy. I'm not going to give him any kind of rub by saying his name, the guy that no showed, but was very unexpected. This guy's fought for us half a dozen times minimum, had been with us, amateur title with us, had been in some big AMI fights all over Florida, not just one area. So him and Brinson fighting was just a layup. It was hey, this is going to be an amazing fight. He no shows. And then it's just kind of and then we have another issue again. I don't want to put anybody's
details. We don't got to go full details. Yeah.
Some stuff with their medicals. Mm-hmm. And the commission said he couldn't fight. So it was just on us hey, I knew that Bully, Hector, they call him Bully. Yeah. I knew that he fought at 85 before. Mm-hmm. And the first thing out of his mouth was, we came to fight. They both could have took the easy route. They didn't have to fight. They would, they made weight, did everything required. They could have got their show money and all that. They wouldn't have even had to fight, Yeah. But shout out to Brinson and Hector because they put on a great fight.
Yeah.
And, it just shows that's when you talk about somebody having the juice. If it was somebody that didn't have the juice, they would have been like, I'm gonna take my payday for making weight, and I'll see y'all on the next card. And those guys were like, no, we came to bump, so we're gonna bump. Let's make it happen.
Well, I know Hector's out of Broward from round 5 and them boys. And I actually know Chacho too. And I know he's fought for Combat Night, and Elvin is an amazing fighter, and they were in the corner. You know, I knew that either way, those guys were gonna fight. One way or that's just how they are. They're ready to fight anytime. So shout out to you guys for being amazing mixed martial artists. We are hoping to see you guys on another card for sure. So here's the one card that I am so excited to talk about. I want to talk about Clash of the Titans. Because I have that one and Broward, because I have been like whispering in a lot of fighters' ears to jump on both of those cards.
Yeah.
And even Undisputed too, because I know boxers too. So like I just want the events to be spectacular. So like
it's gonna be.
Let us know about, you don't gotta give us a lot, because I know like we don't want to give away too much. We still have Leesburg to get through. So just tell us a little bit about what's to come for Clash of the Titans.
I don't know. Who do you want to see? Let's play that game. Who's somebody pops out in your mind like, hey, I'd love to see them on this card?
Definitely Black Santa. Would love to see some heavier guys for sure. Some heavier guys. Damn. I would love to see some of my boys on the card. Maybe David Camacho, Danny too. Daniel Morrison. Mikey. I would like to see Mikey come back again. Maybe like just a kickboxing match. I know he wants to work more on that Muay Thai. Carlos, I want to see him on there. I know the Frederico, I think, in
my head when you say stuff like Carlos and Hector, I'm like, yeah, I only know like 18 of those Carloses.
I think he's out of Fusion. Carlos, what's his last name? Shit, hold on.
I know who you're talking about, 100%.
Okay, cool. So I want to see, and I think I talked to him last time about it. Oh, Reggie. I want to see Reggie back on a card for sure. Northrop. Yep.
I'd be happy that night then.
Huh?
I'd say you probably would be happy that night on a couple of these then.
I want to see Ramon too.
Sure.
I come to watch, everybody have a good time. Everybody put on a good performance. And, I know that event is going to be live. I'm excited for it.
The thing is, like, I don't want to disappoint you or your listeners, but at this point, with no announcements being made and card approval as far as the pros go, I just can't say a lot. But
that's okay.
I will say what I always say: you won't be disappointed in the event. I'm gonna bring it. I mean, obviously, we're partners and it's not a competition, but I want eyes on my Combatagon than on the boxing ring. So I'm gonna try to bring the talent, get a lot of local, but also we love to mix it up. We like to cherry pick somebody from each area, but obviously want to highlight the local boys in the Central Florida area. But
will you have like grappling matches, like just strictly grappling matches on this card? I haven't seen one in a while.
We really don't do a lot of the grappling. We actually are going to have one in Leesburg though, with Jay Enoch and Manning Leverett from 10th Planet Jacks. Okay. That's a great. I mean, they're both really, really good purple belts. So that'll
has a lot of good players.
I don't see us doing grappling on the bigger events like Clash or, our bigger pro events. It's just not what we're going for.
Gotcha.
Not that it won't ever happen, because stuff like what we were talking about earlier can happen. If it's like, oh, some bullcrap happened, then we got to throw something together. So these guys will absolutely do that.
Right.
It's not our goal to do any grappling. It's never really planned for the events, and definitely not the big events.
Right.
But if you're looking for some good grappling, you need to hit up my homie Jada and Valet. You know, they're going to be putting on an awesome event at Guilt next weekend.
Yep,
And
I'll be there.
matchups, and
Yeah.
Jada's a homie, so y'all go out there and support that, because that's going to be they got some really good grappling. Paul Rodriguez, Jim Ehlers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth the price right there.
Yes. I remember when I saw the first announcement for the grappling event, and I'm very happy for her. It's already going. She's like already like ready to go. A lot of great matches. So shout out to Jada. She's also featured on the Liza with the Z podcast. And so let me talk about Broward, because you guys have not had a Broward card in like, I want to say 2 years. I want to say like before.
It's not that long, but it's definitely we're probably creeping up on a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
COVID.
Yeah, man. Shit.
It's a little more stricter down there. So I mean, that's been a big part of the problem. There's not a lot going on down there promotion wise. Still, it's not just us. There hasn't been a lot going on.
Yeah, you got to go outside. Like I see them like in West Palm, Boynton, and like or deep Miami Dade. You know, Broward. Yeah, I mean Broward has been opening up, because I see the club scenes like starting to pop up now. So I'm not surprised that Sway was finally open. But I was hoping to hear that you guys go back to the Hard Rock.
Yeah, I could see that happening here soon.
Wink, wink. Maybe the end of 2021.
I think that's feasible.
I mean, Dare is owned by the same owners of Sway, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, I mean, Dare's a nice nightclub that I've been to, a very big venue. Wink, wink. Maybe that's a hint there. I think that could work out there. That would be a great venue to have the event at. Trying to think how big the space of the floor is, if the cage would fit there.
Space not big, but man, the energy in that setting is electric.
Yeah,
it's
very
tight in that building, but the energy's insane.
Mm-hmm. So, every Sway event I've been to, always insane. I remember when Roman, what's his last name?
Feraldo.
Yeah. Roman Feraldo. He like knocked out a guy within like seconds of him getting in the I think this is right before his pro, or he was already pro. One of the two. And I just see the most amazing fights on your cards always. You cannot walk away. Like sometimes I don't even go to the bathroom. Like I cannot move. I can't move, guys. I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna go to the restroom. I cannot move, because anything can happen within seconds at the fight. So I mean, I'm enjoying the ride. I love coming to not only as a fan, but now I'm in the production type of media, behind the scenes stuff. I like to get good stuff for my fighters, and they love all the media. They're now it's like the reels game going on, and good content. So Combat Night is definitely a place to enjoy yourself, have a great time, and support amazing athletes. And so thank you for always giving us a great show to go to. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate the love and people coming out and supporting. It's what we do. We dedicated our lives to it. I think that comes out. We want to kill each other, but we always make it happen for the fighters and fans. I mean, that's our biggest thing. We try to we all come from the back. You can't be more involved than we are. We all teach. We've all had competitions, fights. We've trained people. You just can't. It's every day for us. It's the life,
So yeah, I mean, if I'm not training, I'm talking about fights, or I'm researching fights, or I'm watching fights. So it's it's the fight life. This is what we do now. But what do you do? What do you do outside of the fight life? I mean, I have a gym.
and it's gym and combat night. It's basically it. I do some. Everybody's got their side hustles, obviously.
Right.
So I have some stuff like that going on. Not anything illegal. You got to be careful with the verbiage you use nowadays.
You got that side hustle.
Yeah. Supplement. It's more acceptable to say I have other things for supplemental income. There we go.
I have a secondary form of income. I would say the professional way to say it. But nah, you got a side hustle, bro. So is there anything else that we should expect within the next couple months coming out of combat night?
Well, we go back to Tallahassee. That's where we started. That's August 28th. We always try to bring the best show possible there. I started getting some names. I already had a few in mind, but started getting some more ideas of some pros that would be involved. So that's already looking good. That's August 28th. Of the Moon, that's where we started. It just feels like energy. The Tallahassee different because when you go to these other areas, everybody, they're there for the hometown boy. And it's definitely that way in Tallahassee. They support their own hardcore, but there's a lot of mutual respect. It doesn't matter if guys from South Carolina or guys from Orlando, Florida. Like, the Tally people are just fans of fighting. So they get crunk no matter what, unless it's a shitty fight. So it feels so different in Tallahassee. Every place has a different feel. Duval always comes feeling electric, but they're more, if it's a local boy, they're going crazy. But in Tallahassee, it seems a little more split. They're going for, they're not necessarily biased at all. They're just there for a good fight.
Yeah.
And it just feels
that Duval venue was pretty creepy.
That's to put it, creepy. It was definitely unique. I don't know what was going on in there, but
listen, this is me, okay? So I knew that there was gonna be like a nice event, but I didn't know. So as soon as we were driving up, I looked at this big, massive temple looking place, and I'm like, yeah, there was some sacrifices done in this place for sure.
I was like, how many goats have been slain?
There was no presence of any kind of, there wasn't even a women's bathroom in there. There was only men's bathroom. Yeah. And then all these pictures of all these like old guys. I don't know who they are. And then it looked very Illuminati-ish to me.
What you're saying is accurate.
But I loved it. I loved being in there. It just kind of made it feel like, ooh, this is like, I don't know. It was just a good venue to have a good time in, see some fights. It was a little hot, but either way, it was a great night of fights, and I loved it. So I'm looking forward to. I won't be in Leesburg, unfortunately. I'll be back home in Broward. I'll be back with my family for Father's Day weekend.
Cool.
And I have other things going on down there. Gonna visit John Way, of course, and just be with family. And then, but I will be coming to the Clash of the Titan event. So I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
It's gonna be super dope.
I know it is. I know. And I'm not gonna lie, I do know of some people that have whispered in my ear.
Appreciate you keeping it under wraps.
But I keep my mouth and because I don't say anything until contracts are signed, and then obviously make an announcement. So because anything changes, honestly, from the time they sign the contract, during training, people get hurt. So, but either way, some people just like to come talk on the show. So sure. I appreciate it. Soon to come, you'll see some fighters on the Clash of the Titans card. On the Lisa podcast.
After this weekend, you're going to start seeing matchups. We get through Leesburg, you'll start seeing that slow release of the bouts. We're going to get a good, probably going to give you a good 20 fights just on our side.
Yeah. Dang, it's going to be a long night. What time are we starting this event? Because
on the big events, it's always 4:15 on the big ones. On the small ones, that might change a little bit, but these bigger ones, and look for a first fight, or at least Grayford to be out there giving his whole opening ceremony deal at 4:15.
Right, right. So like, are they gonna have like 20 fights as well, or is it like, because I know that I've been to a Clash of the Titans event before at the Broward College. That was the first one I went to. And they had the cage, and I think it was amateur. I don't think it was a pro. No, it was amateur because my boy's from that. But it was like one MMA fight, then one boxing fight, and like you guys kind of alternated. Yeah. So is that kind of the same thing that's going to happen too, this event?
I don't want to give you information that's wrong. My understanding is we will alternate them during the amateur portion.
Okay.
So we'll have that alternating going on, but when we go pro, I think we're going to go 1-on-1. Like we'll get a boxing match, we'll get an MMA fight. We'll get a boxing match, we'll get an MMA fight. And that seems really cool dynamic to me. That seems like what we're going for and what's going to work the best. But like you're saying about fights and everything, that could change. A meeting could change all that. When you start thinking about times, we have pay-per-view streams, things like that. It's, we're live here, pal. So it's live, and you don't know, things could change. So we got to get on some sort of schedule. So when we have our production meeting, I'm sure that'll get worked out, but I'm like 99.9% sure that's the template for how it's going to play out.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely excited. It's going to be a good time. And is there anybody you want to thank today?
Oh, thank you. This was fun. My thing is what I always say. I love this fucking sport. I love the people that I'm in this business with, and I can't be happy and they can't be happy without fighters and fans. So that's what I always say thank you to, fighters and fans, because we can't do any of this without those people. So all the props to them. It's like I say, I'm not greedy for anything. It's very fulfilling. Money's nice, obviously, but it's fulfilling when somebody comes to you. The biggest thing for me, I'm a fucking softie. I'll start crying if you tug at my heartstrings. Like when a young woman or a young man hits me up and says something like, appreciate you getting me that fight. It's an amateur fight. And they're like, it was the greatest day of my life. Thank you for helping my dream come true. It's like, oh
gosh, Elizabeth, I'm coming.
Exactly. So that's awesome. So, thank you as far as for Combat Night, just thanks to all our awesome sponsors and these teams that support us. But overall, fighters and fans is where the most appreciation goes to.
You heard it here, folks. Thank you so much for supporting Combat Night. Richard Cox, all the fighters, fans. Stay tuned. Go ahead and watch that pay-per-view link. Hit up combatnight.com. If there's any tickets left, watch the pay-per-view and support your local fighters.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Richard. I look forward to having you on here again and talk about more future fights.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you so much. You guys have a good one.